The ballroom glittered with gold chandeliers and laughter from the country's most powerful women. 5 of them, dressed in designer gowns worth more than some houses, stood in a perfect line. Each of them had been selected to meet one man, Jonathan Crane, a widowed millionaire whose fortune could buy anything, except the warmth his little girl had lost 2 years ago when her mother died. Jonathan's daughter, Emily, clutched his arm, her eyes darting nervously between the women. She was only 10, but tonight she was being asked to do something that would change her life forever. "Sweetheart," Jonathan whispered, "it's time to choose who you want as your new mom." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Emily slowly stepped forward. The women smiled, rehearsed and perfect, each expecting her to pick them. But Emily kept walking, past the heels, past the diamonds, until she stopped at the back of the room. There, wearing a simple uniform and holding a silver tray, stood Marianne, the family's black housekeeper. Her hands were rough from work, her shoes worn. Emily dropped the tray from her hands, hugging her tightly. "This one," Emily whispered. "I choose her." And in that instant, silence turned into pure shock. Gudine. Jonathan Crane wasn't just wealthy, he was a man with influence. His name was on hospitals, museums, and entire streets. But behind the power was a man who'd been broken since his wife's sudden passing. Emily had retreated into herself, refusing to smile, refusing to trust anyone who tried to step into her mother's place. For months, Jonathan tried everything. Therapists, vacations, private tutors. Nothing worked. Until one winter afternoon, he came home early and found Emily in the kitchen, giggling for the first time in years. Marianne, the housekeeper, was braiding Emily's hair while telling her stories about her childhood in a small village in Georgia. Jonathan noticed something. Emily's smile wasn't forced. She was happy. Still, the businessman in him believed Emily needed a proper stepmother, a woman from his social circle who could provide the sophistication and connections he thought necessary. So he invited 5 wealthy women he had carefully screened to his mansion, planning for Emily to meet them and choose one. Marianne almost didn't come to work that evening. She felt awkward around the glamorous guests, but Emily begged her to stay until bedtime. "Please, Marianne," she said softly, "I don't want to be alone." The ballroom sparkled. The 5 women introduced themselves to Emily, showering her with expensive gifts. A diamond bracelet, a silk scarf, even tickets to Paris. Emily politely smiled but stayed quiet, her hands tucked behind her back. Jonathan watched closely, unaware of the storm brewing in his daughter's heart. After an hour of mingling, Jonathan gathered everyone for the selection. He thought it would be quick. Emily would pick one of the women, they'd toast champagne, and life would move forward. But as Emily scanned the line of glamorous candidates, her face tightened. She remembered how they spoke to her, more about themselves than about her. Not one had asked what she liked to read or what made her happy. Her mind flashed back to the countless nights Marianne had stayed past her shift to help with homework, or how she would sneak her warm chocolate chip cookies after dinner. Marianne wasn't rich, she didn't drive a sports car, but she had something no amount of money could buy: kindness that felt safe. Jonathan noticed Emily's hesitation. "Sweetheart," he encouraged, "just pick the one who feels right." Emily nodded, then walked right past the 5 women who exchanged confused glances. The crowd's whispers grew louder. She stopped in front of Marianne, whose eyes widened in disbelief. "She's my choice," Emily said firmly. "She's the one who already takes care of me like a mom." Gasp echoed through the ballroom. One of the rich women scoffed under her breath. "She's just the help." Jonathan froze. This wasn't in his plan, but his daughter's words cut deeper than any business negotiation ever could. The room was tense. Marianne stepped back, shaking her head. "Emily, honey, I work for your father. I'm not—" Emily tightened her hug. "You are my mom. You listen. You care. You don't just want to be here because of Daddy's money." Jonathan's chest tightened. He saw something he had been blind to. His daughter wasn't searching for status. She was searching for love. One of the wealthy women, offended, muttered, "Jonathan, surely you can't let a child make such a life-altering decision." Jonathan looked at Emily, her tear-filled eyes pleading for him to understand, and then at Marianne, who seemed ready to disappear to avoid embarrassment. But instead, Jonathan walked toward them. Emily's right, he said, his voice steady. A mother isn't chosen for her wealth or social rank. A mother is chosen for her heart. Gasps rippled again. Jonathan took Marianne's hand, guiding her to stand beside Emily. If my daughter trusts you this much, then you're already part of this family. The rich women exchanged glances, their smiles stiffening. But Jonathan didn't care. For the first time in years, he saw Emily's smile without shadows behind it. In the weeks that followed, the mansion felt warmer, not because of its grand fireplaces, but because laughter had returned. Marianne didn't change her ways. She still cooked, still kept the house tidy, but now she sat with Emily during dinners, helping her with school projects and telling stories late into the night. Jonathan offered her the option to leave her job entirely and simply be a mother figure in their home. Marianne, humble as ever, said, "I'll always work for my keep, but if Emily needs me, I'll never leave her side." Months later, during a charity gala, Jonathan introduced Marianne to his peers, not as the housekeeper, but as the woman who saved my family. Emily, standing between them, beamed. She no longer felt like the lonely little girl lost in a big empty mansion. She had her father, and now she had a mother again. And in the quiet moments, Jonathan often thought back to that night in the ballroom. He realized that in business, you choose partners based on strategy. But in life, the heart makes better choices than the mind ever could. Because sometimes the richest person in the room isn't the one with the most money, it's the one with the most love to give.